a devastating new video just released of one of Joe Biden's top advisors admitting to a massive payday if his boss stayed in the 2024 race and was able to win despite his obvious cognitive decline. This is really remarkable. We're now getting a look front and center of what appears to be the motive. The motive. It wasn't sheer power. It was also greed from the look of this thing. We're going to show you the unbelievable 2-minute clip. We didn't cut 1 second from it because we want you to see the entire thing. Wait until you see this guy. You've heard his name a lot, Mike Donnellan. He was all over that Tapper book. He's as close as you can be to Joe Biden. He was one of the two who was around him, talking to him about his allegedly okay polls. I remember when Nancy Pelosi was like, I don't think your team is giving you the right information. And now we're starting, it appears, to learn why. Again, it wasn't just, we want the presidency. It appears to have been the good old-fashioned sin of greed. I'll show you the clip and you'll make your own decision. This clip we're about to show you, it's not just about the campaign. It's about Joe Biden's entire presidency and whether it was nothing more than a money-making operation for, yes, his family, we knew that one, but also his friends, his top advisors. This thing raises real questions about whether this entire cover-up was about cold, hard cash. The video was released today by the House Oversight Committee. It is of former top Biden senior advisor Mike Donnellan. It was reported over the summer that Donnellan told the committee he was paid $4 million to work on Joe Biden's 2024 campaign, and he was set to receive an additional, on top of that $4 million, an additional $4 million if Biden was reelected. I mean, just think about that. It's one thing to know that, like on paper. It's quite another to see him admit it. You're not going to believe this tape. However, the release of the video, all right, telling the committee that information, 4 and then another 4, it's just so damning because of the way he does it. Wait until you see this. He pauses, he stutters. It's a very simple question. You can see him trying to game it out in his head, seeing if there's any way around this enormous admission he's going to have to make. Would he have received money if Joe Biden were reelected? That's the question. Very simple. Yes or no. You all know whether you stand to make $4 million upon the reelection of a president if you're working for him. Think you'd know that right away? I think I'd know that. It's a yes or a no question. But it's very clear he knows the answer and is trying like a mouse in a maze to find a way around it, but he's not clever enough. He tries to avoid answering, but eventually he's forced to admit the truth. Watch this entire 2-minute painful thing.
Just to be clear, would the amount of pay you received for your role in the campaign, would that have changed depending on how far into the race President Biden made it?
My sense is that in my view, the money was that it was a guarantee of the campaign that we'd had a negotiation, and that's my memory of the agreement.
Would you have received a bonus depending on the way the campaign went? Was that a possibility?
How the campaign went.
Were there any circumstances in which you would have received a bonus?
Yes, it was.
What were those circumstances?
That Joe Biden would have been reelected president of the United States.
What would the bonus have been?
I believe it would have been $4 million.
In addition to the $4 million that you were already paid?
Yes.
It's hard to hear that last number, but it was another 4. Got 4 and would have gotten another 4 if Joe Biden had been reelected. Can you believe what we just saw? Just to go over it. The first question was from Peter Spector, House Oversight Committee staff member. He asks, just to be clear, would the amount of pay you received for your role in the campaign, would that have changed depending on how far into the race President Biden made it? Is that confusing to you? Is that confusing to you, members of the audience? It's pretty straightforward. Just to be clear, would the amount of pay you received for your role on the campaign, would that have changed depending on how far into the race President Biden made it? Yes or no? That's what we spent over a minute hemming and hawing on. My sense is, I'm not going to repeat the pausing, but you heard it. In my view, finally comes out with the money. It was a guarantee. The campaign, we had a negotiation. And that's my memory of the agreement. It's a non-answer. He won't answer. He's clearly dodging. He's self-conscious. He knows they've got him. He knows the motive for his terrible behavior is about to be outed in what I presume was an under oath deposition. We are all under oath when we give a deposition. And he wouldn't even answer yes or no. All he says was, it was a guarantee. That doesn't answer our question on whether it would have gone up or down. Sure, there could have been a guarantee for some portion of it, but they're asking you, would that have changed depending on how far into the race President Biden made it? And now we know, as we get to the end, because they followed up like good lawyers, saying, no, we're asking whether it would have gone up. You had a bonus if he got reelected. And finally, he says yes. So you know he was fucking lying there when he was answering, oh, it was a guarantee. That's my memory. He was lying. That's obvious. Good for them for following up. A lesser lawyer wouldn't have done it. These guys did. And then you heard Margaret Harker, senior advisor to the House Oversight Committee, assuming this is a lawyer, don't know. You never received a bonus depending on the way the campaign went? Was that a possibility? How the campaign went? This is a top political operative. Who does he think he's kidding? You know exactly what she's asking. You're afraid, you utter coward, you greedy coward. Wow, this guy, how the campaign went? She follows up. Were there any circumstances in which you would have received a bonus? Now he can't wiggle. Finally, yes. It was. Of course, he's playing word games, like trying to feign confusion again. There were, is what he should have said. What were those circumstances? And then he gives it up, that Joe Biden would have been reelected president. What would the bonus have been? I believe it would have been $4 million. In addition to the $4 million you already paid, yes. They got him. They got him in the end after considerable wiggling. This guy, in my opinion, is a dishonest hack. That's what we're witnessing there. Dishonest hackery meant to cover up abject greed and a loathing for the United States of America. This is the opposite of patriotism, of duty, of love of country. What you loved was the almighty dollar, sir. That's obvious. In this same interview, Donilon defended Biden's fitness for office because, sure, of course, they all had to. We've talked about Mike Donilon on the show before. You may remember when Tapper came on, he was part of President Biden's inner circle, known as the Politburo, a group of advisors that Mr. Biden always turned to. There was like a top 3, maybe 4, who were like the inner circle who made the decisions with him. Bruce Reed, Mike Donilon, Steve Ricchetti, and Ron Klain, who was his chief of staff for a while. A person familiar with this internal dynamic told Jake Tapper for his book, quote, 5 people were running the country and Joe Biden was at best a senior member of the board. And it was revealed in Tapper's book that in 2019, then candidate Joe Biden once struggled to even remember Donilon's name during a campaign event in Iowa. He just kept saying, you know. These two have known each other since 1981. Buy gold and get free silver. That's right. For every $5,000 purchased from Birch Gold Group this month in advance of Veterans Day, they will send you a free patriotic silver round that commemorates the Gadsden and American flags. Look, gold is up over 40% since the beginning of this year, and Birch Gold can help you own it by converting an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. Plus, they'll send you free silver honoring our veterans on qualifying purchases. And if you are current or former military, Birch Gold has a special offer just for you. They are waiving custodial fees for the first year on investments of any amount. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, consider diversifying your savings into gold. Text MK to the number 989898 for a free info kit and to claim your eligibility for free silver with qualifying purchase before the end of the month. Again, text MK to the number 989898. Message and data rates may apply. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.